The Great Reset.
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 Reset. It is an opportunity we've never had before and may never have again.
It is imperative that we reimagine, rebuild, redesign our world.
And we will do so.
We've heard about the Great Reset, but what do we really know about it? Is it something we can prepare for? For some, it might sound like a conspiracy, for others, a distant reality. But when it comes to money, the time loop works very differently. Some say the Great Reset has already happened, is still happening right now, and will continue to develop whether people decide to see and believe it or not. The question is, when did the Great Reset begin? It's highly probable that it already had started back in 2007 after the housing market and stock market crash. So, if that's the case, the chain of events leading up to the present economic crisis are great indicators of the financial deluge that arises in the wake. Knowing economics and how governments work is a start in the right direction of understanding our current situation and possibly preparing for future demise. The twin bubbles we have to deal with right now are global debt, particularly government debt. The other is government promises, which add up to hundreds of trillions of dollars, which is vastly larger than the current global GDP. The global elites of today hope to use the Great Reset to their advantage to ensure taxable income to continue to fill their coffers while paying off government promises. But this hamster wheel is not sustainable. Indeed, these are real problems we must face, requiring changes to taxes and the economy, meaning ending government promises and ultimately the debt resulting from such promises. The disease? Excessive spending. Worldwide excessive spending. Deficits are too high, and higher taxes are merely its symptoms. Think about the promise of free healthcare, unlimited welfare, free education, and the likes of socialist reforms. Bigger government always equals bigger brother watching every move you make. All government functions cost money to deliver, and that's why we have taxes. So how can you even pay those taxes if you either cannot or choose not to work? Does unlimited government welfare motivate your growth in personal or professional development, or does it stifle it? For most, handouts tend to stunt growth and enable poor habits and weak work ethic. Temporary government welfare is plausible for those who need assistance for a limited time while learning to relaunch on their own again. This is the kind of freedom that makes a great nation, knowing how much and how often to feed before one can learn to fly on their own. Just look at the birds in the air. The mama bird only feeds its young for a brief period of time before she abandons nest. If the birds are always fed with no limit, they may never learn how to fetch and survive on their own. Since they don't actually produce anything, governments cannot finance themselves. People must pay for them through taxation. Those who rely on government assistance indefinitely, while they are able-bodied and can physically, mentally work, are essentially allowing others to do work for them to their own benefit. Enabling this type of mentality is what feeds big government. The real issue may not be those governmental promises that have cost each one of us our livelihoods. The issue is that we as a society have allowed the government to grow into a beastly size where it is now and exceed trillions just to get by in combined federal, state, and local government spending in one fiscal year. Any way you shake it, whether the government funds itself with taxes now or borrowing now and taxes later, both funding methods divert equal sums from private sector uses that could be more productive for sole proprietors, small businesses, and big corporations alike. Unfortunately, we've been inevitably and unconsciously marching towards the elite's dystopian delirium of infinite money expenditures. Repeatedly mourning the shift to digital cash is merely the final strike for the ultimate plan to take the world in such a deviant manner that it would even make the Orwellian narrative sound naive. The whole monetary system has been built for this moment, when the perfect crisis is creating the leverage to finally impose the New World monetary order, one of which no one will be able to escape. In the absence of a strong financial anchor like gold, or at least a limited supply, the public cannot trust a piece of worthless paper as trade currency. It's quite likely that back then, the government didn't have much confidence in fiat currency as well, regarding deficit spending without an anchor. Budgets could be unconstrained and quickly derail our control, much like how the Federal Reserve current monetary policies work at the present. Some people have gold simply because the governments cannot be trusted. Could it be that the Great Reset actually happened as early as 2004 when Starmatic, a Dominion voting system funded by China, was first implemented in the recall referendum against President Hugo Chavez in Venezuela and was successful in helping Chavez secure 59% of the votes? The result was met with accusations of electoral fraud. At the time, questions were only raised about the election process and patterns, but nobody had focused on the Smartmatic voting system. Has Venezuela become a better country because of that vote since 2004? Surely we all know the answer to that question. If not, just ask anyone who's left Venezuela since 2004 to seek citizenship in other countries. They just might tell you the truth. Therefore, the practical aim of the Great Reset is to fundamentally restructure the world's economy and geopolitical relations based on two assumptions: that every element of nature and every life form is a part of the global inventory managed by the global elites, and that all inventory needs to be strictly accounted for via registry in a central database, be readable by scanner, easily ID'd and managed by artificial intelligence. Does this sound like a future and a hope for all humanity? It sounds more like the antithesis of utopia: harmony, life, liberty, and justice for all. But that's up to you to decide by researching who your government representatives are, what they stand for, who or what supports them. For who supports them determines who or what pays for legislation on your behalf. And if we don't have a voting system people can trust, then democracy fails. We've seen it in many governments worldwide. Let's hope that's not the case in the last few bastions of freedom nations there are left, if any. How do we prepare? The best we can do is hope and pray for the best, prepare for the worst. It's the daily things, such as how we care for our bodies, how we are stewards of our finances, and how we prioritize our needs. It is also about how we treat others and how we nurture our spirits. For the physical is temporal, but the spirit lives on in eternity. Since some of the things discussed are beyond our personal control, we need divine intervention. Just look to the sky and believe that there is a greater power at work in all of this. Know it, understand it, take it to heart, and live by the Spirit. Revive your spirit, and the meaning of life will be revealed. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hidden that shall not be made known. Luke 8:17 through 19.
Please subscribe. Help us reach 400 subs this year. It will be very delightful, and also share the video to spread the word. You can watch another video, just click left or right. Keep inspiring.